It's go time on another edition of the Eye on Life podcast. I'm your host, Brian Boyer. Eye on Life podcast. I hope you share it, like it, follow us on social media, on YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere. And I think that we're here with Kerry Collins again, part two of last week's conversation. But I don't know who or what that is in front of me here. But Kerry, I hope that's you. Is that you?
It's me. I'm not taking any chances. I don't know if we can't confirm whether or not if COVID can be transmitted electronically through the internet and cyberspace, but I don't want to take any chances.
Well, you know? I don't. So if you're listening and not actually watching the show on YouTube, Kerry is fully equipped with his. It's not a must NY mask yet. I assume that you will still order your must NY mask, but he has the long hair going on, which still looks great. He's got the sunglasses. You almost look like, I don't mean to make light of this, but you almost look like the Unabomber. I have to be honest with you. So I already feel a little bit uneasy.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment and an insult, considering that he is a very smart man. However, he's a maniac. So.
Absolute maniac. But and again, I don't mean to make light of that, but you did.
No,
you look great. Now he's now maskless, and I guarantee there's somebody out there that thinks there's a conspiracy about transmitting the COVID-19 through virtual meetings. There has to be somebody out there. I'm sure
there is.
We're going to do a show. I know I've said this several times, and we haven't actually had the show yet, but we are going to do a show on conspiracy theories, which some I find very intriguing, and some I just find to be so outlandish and outrageous. I want to talk to some people. We're going to talk to some people about that. Probably won't happen until 2021, but we are going to have that show at some point.
Brian, I'd love to be on that show. I won't even say anything. I just want to be a part of it and then just make facial expressions with this. When people talk about their conspiracy theories, I'll be in the background like this.
Well, you know how when the governors speak and they have the person doing sign language, which I always love that, because I think sign language is I'm fascinated by it. I've actually been wanting to learn sign language for years because I think it's amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, and it really is.
Do you know sign language?
No, I'm not smart enough to learn it.
I can barely speak English on most days, so sign language would be completely different. But I do find it fascinating when they do that. It's an amazing thing that they do with the sign language. But you could almost be that person up in the corner, but instead of sign language, you would be making facial expressions like, "Oh, that person's creepy. Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, whatever it is."
Yeah, my eyes are rolling, my mouth's dropping, just all those annoying facial expressions to bring just a slight hint of comedic relief to the conspiracy theory.
Well, I think you gave me all those looks on the first show anyway, so I feel like we've already been there. Thanks for coming back for part two. We're covering music. I don't care what we talk about today. We're covering music.
Yeah. Let's get right into music. My pleasure, Brian. Let's get right into it.
But just real quick before, and I always say we get right into it, but my nose is running here, so excuse me for that, because I don't know if it's the allergies or whatnot.
Get a COVID test. Get a COVID test.
I feel fine, but my nose is running.
Get a COVID test.
Again with the finger. I can't tell if it's the index finger or the middle finger. So look what I have today. You start off with your mask, and I want to show. It's still packaged, so I have masks to give away. Chris Bossert and Monica Perez Bossert, mustny.com. Order the mask today. Look at, and it's not just, they customize them. Teachers, look, the apple.
Oh, that's cool.
That's upside down. I wanted a couple of things though before we get started on the music today with you, Kerry. Kerry Collins is back for part two. Radio personality here in Hartford, Connecticut. iHeartMedia. It's KC101. Are you KC101? Is that what it is?
Well, I was. Yes, I've been KC101 for many years, which is the New Haven top 40 station. I just moved over to the River 105.9 on the morning show. So I do the morning show from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, but I'm still doing KC101 on the weekends because KC101's my baby. But yeah, that's my deal.
Well, that's good that you're doing mornings because you'll wake people right up. That's for sure. And River, you can play Nickelback on the River, can't you? Isn't that kind of a Nickelback kind of station?
Yes, I know. Nickelback show, one of your favorites, but yes, maybe
I'm
one or two.
Thankful for Nickelback. As people are still digesting from last week, their turkey dinners. I hope that you're digesting and maybe listening, kicking back and listening to a little bit of Nickelback or whoever you love.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
We
anyway,
do play a few Nickelback songs. Yes, we do play a couple.
Showing the love. That's good. You're a good man. MustNY.com. Thanks to show sponsors. I also want to shout out to some new downloads, some new listeners. City of Westminster, England. So I know we talked about Iran last week. Another
Right.
and I'm also sticking. So I want to thank Westminster. It's not like Westminster Abbey. I mean, it could be some royalty listening to the show.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea, but I'm sure maybe they're close to Westminster Abbey. I don't know.
The way you sort of just said that leads me to believe that you don't believe that royalty would listen to the show, and I have to say I'm a little offended. You're the tone of your voice.
I was being sarcastic a little bit.
As was I. I say that anybody that listens to the show is royalty in my mind. Anybody that listens to it or watches it is royalty, right. and my guests as well. I don't know where the show's going today because I'm a little. I feel like loopy today.
I would say it's probably not the Queen, but it might be, I don't know, Princess Fergie. Is she still around? Or I would say it's one of the outer fringes of royalty, not the inner circle, but someone on the like a cousin or something.
But you're talking about Fergie, the Duchess, right?
Correct. Not the singer, right?
Okay, because the Black Eyed Peas and that's music right there. I mean, I like the Black Eyed Peas. Mm-hmm. But I don't know I think Fergie is the Duchess of York. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas is the Duchess of I don't know. Pop music, I guess.
Right.
So anyway, thanks for Westminster for listening. Westminster, City of Westminster, England, and then also another place of royalty, which I've actually driven through, state capital of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. I had some listeners in Harrisburg.
Oh wow.
So we did Dover last week. We're sticking with the state capital. So I guess, we have royalty and state capitals. Listen to the show. Like it, spread the word. And Kerry, we are going to talk about music today. Last week, we talked about the hatred of the commercials with the music. It's gotten worse. Some of these commercials are driving me absolutely crazy.
But you know what, Brian? Like, let me interrupt you. Like,
interrupt away.
Between last week and this week, there was a commercial. I believe it worked. My point is, like we talked about last week, how commercialization of music is just going completely overboard. But I did see one over the past week that absolutely worked. I actually thought it was funny. It was, do you know the song, Hey, Baby, I Got Your Money by ODB? Do you remember that song? Hey, Dirty, baby, I got your money.
I do remember.
They used it in a laundry detergent commercial, and they changed the lyrics to, hey, dirty, baby, I got your laundry, and it worked. So that's an example of, you know what, when it works, it works. But getting back to last week, a lot of people do go overboard. But that one was a good one.
That actually does sound like a good one. I'm noticing a lot of Fleetwood Mac songs in a lot of commercials lately. Is that like Ocean Spray? I think that one where the guy, he's like on his like motorboard and he's drinking.
Yeah, well, that's a viral TikTok.
Right. I saw that. That's actually kind of cool.
Right. So that's where all the Fleetwood Mac, they're I would say they're red hot right now, but that video on TikTok definitely brought them back into a little bit of a mainstream, and the eye is definitely back on them now a little bit.
So how we can, you talk about TikTok and we're talking about, the digital world now. We talked about social media a lot in the last show. And you're a radio personality, and radio is now kind of traditional, right? Radio is a traditional way of listening to music. You have your commercials on there, and that's great. But how, from what you've seen as a radio personality, what's been the shift? I still actually do listen to the radio, but there's Sirius, there's satellite radio now. Yeah. There's, I'm doing a lot more. When you're on the air, I'm listening to you, Kerry, obviously. But yeah. But oftentimes I'm listening to, my downloaded music in the car. How is the shift of the way people consume music impacting your profession, if at all? And is there anything that you need to do differently? Even more creative, pushing the envelope a little bit more to get people to start listening more to not to get to start, but to listen to radio versus some of these other mediums.
Yep, absolutely. Satellite radio, 100,000% has impacted our business. They have the difference between satellite radio and local commercial traditional radio is local. Um, since satellite radio came onto the scene and the way they've evolved over the past, 15, 20, however many years it's been, they don't put a lot of emphasis on their personalities, on their DJs, or the person talking in between songs. There's a lot of stations, there's no one talking. They just song after song after song. But the thing about satellite radio, and I understand why a lot of people like it, is because there's no DJ yak. There's no DJs yucking up the songs who just like to hear themselves talk. There's really not a lot of that. It's more focused on the music. It's more focused on the music and even the commercial loads. I mean, people have complained for years about terrestrial radio and the commercials being, way too long. Just commercial up to commercial up to commercial up to commercial. And I just turn the commercials off. And I understand that. If you listen to, when you listen to satellite radio, you'll notice if there's a commercial, it's like one or two, and then it's back to a ton of music. And again, that's because they make their money in subscriptions, and I get that. Whereas terrestrial radio, old-fashioned radio, like I'm doing, we make our money with commercials. And in the old days, radio stations would make an effort to brand themselves as, hey, we play the most music and focus on the music. And yeah, we have the spot blocks and the commercials, but we're playing 45 minutes of straight music, or we're playing 10 songs in a row or 12 songs in a row, whatever it is, to really hit home that people should listen to on the stations because of the long music sweeps and not the commercials. That being said, I am hoping, because I've been thinking about this a lot, as a matter of fact, that traditional radio will change its format, or at least hopefully someone will take a chance and change the format and get away from the commercial-free hours or the 10 songs in a row. It doesn't matter anymore. Play a song, play a commercial. Play a song, play a commercial. I was watching Schitt's Creek. Have you ever seen that show?
I have seen parts of it before.
Okay, all right.
I haven't really watched it fully, but it looks funny.
Yeah, it's great. But anyway, that just happened to be the one I was watching, and it was streaming. And in between where the show takes a break, there's like, 2 or 3. It was like 2 commercials. It was 2 commercials, and they were short 15-second ones. So, and I was like, then back to the show. So I'm hoping that some brilliant radio programmer will just realize that, traditional radio needs to change with the evolving times also. Get away from the long commercial breaks, because listeners will stick through. Listeners will stay with you for a 5-second, 10-second, 15-second, no more than 30 seconds. If it's any more than 30 seconds, I'm out.
It's painful. Nobody wants to listen to the local car dealership.
Correct. Right. Exactly. But if you can plug in your little little spots, in between the songs, I'll stay, for 10, 15 seconds. Now that's one difference. The other difference is, satellite radio, it's national. It's all national. There's no local connection whatsoever. So here at iHeart Hartford, I know that myself and the on-air personalities in Hartford, we make a concerted effort to really be as local as possible. My colleague and good friend Renee Danino, there's nobody more local than her. She's doing food drives. She's doing adoptable pets. She's bringing awareness to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Right. All local sponsors, local activities, local organizations. And then when I'm on the air, I'm talking about the local COVID numbers. I'm talking about, like, for example, I talked about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree that happened to be just, it looks like a metaphor for 2020. 2020 is the worst. It's the worst Christmas tree ever. But we focus on being as local as we can. We're getting away from a lot of the celebrity gossip and celebrity news. For some stations, there's still a place for it. But for the most part, we've shifted to completely 100% be as local as we can. And that's the two differences I see in satellite radio versus traditional terrestrial radio.
So a couple of points that I want to ask you about. And to me, in my opinion, there's almost nothing better than a great DJ. They're engaging, they pump you up, they make you laugh, they wake you up maybe in the morning, right? On the same token, there's almost nothing worse in life than a bad DJ who is pontificating, who is annoying, who won't shut up. I to the point where you're angry listening to the person, right? And so I guess between that, I mean, I know there's a medium and everyone has their own taste, right, about what kind of style they like. But how, for you, and I've listened to you many times, and I'm not just saying this because you're a guest on the show. You really do a great job.
Thank you.
But there are some out there who are, and I'm not even saying in this market. And you mentioned Renee; she's great.
I know. Yeah,
Renee's amazing. I do want to give
Brian. Radio people love to hear ourselves talk.
And so do podcast people. Listen, I'm the last one who's going to sit here and say I don't love to hear myself talk, but that'd be trust me. But I guess my point is that you talk about the local angle. We talk about, people are very much about instant gratification. They just want to hear the music. So what are you doing as a personality? Is there anything in your, I don't want to say shtick, but your routine, the way, your style that you are enticing people? Forget the local things. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people do care about that, but what are you doing to kind of change the game a little bit?
So my mentality when I'm on the air is that of a waiter or waitress at a restaurant. And I've never been a waiter and a waitress at a restaurant. However, it was the best.
I know you haven't been a waitress. I know you have not been a waitress.
Hey, don't assume it. Don't assume. You never know. I could have been, I could have been born Kerry, and just changed my.
And I think it's server. We don't want to offend anybody. I think it's server now. I don't think it's waiter or waitress. I think it's server. We have to.
Well, my point is correct.
Remember.
I know we need. Right. Right. You can send all your complaints to idon'tcare@gmail.com.
The complaint box. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So, but the best analogy I ever got, and one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from one of my on-air mentors, Kelly Nash, was people go to a restaurant for the food. The waiter or waitress or server, whoever's bringing you the food, they can either make or break your experience. So for me, I'm an on-air radio personality. You're coming to the station. You're not coming to listen to Kerry Collins. You're coming to listen to the station for, when it was on KC101, it was for Lady Gaga, it was for Justin Bieber. You're coming for the music. Now you're coming to the River 105.9 for Fleetwood Mac. You're coming for Nickelback. You're coming for Steve Miller. I'm the waiter. I'm the server of the music. So I want to make your experience as enjoyable as possible. So I give you a little bit. I get in, I get out, and I leave you alone so you can enjoy your music. And I try not to overdo it and ruin your experience with radio. Or with the music, I should say. And that's really it. I just concentrate. I really put a focus on, I'm not the star. I'm not the reason people come to the radio station. I'm a good, I'm a positive part of the puzzle, and I hope that people enjoy listening to me while they're listening to the River or they're listening to any of the iHeart radio stations, but I'm not the reason that they're here. I want to make your experience with iHeart Radio and the River and KC101. I want to make it more enjoyable and hopefully not tune it out.
Well, I'll listen to you. I'll listen. Well,
thank you.
I want the prime rib of radio here, the filet mignon of radio. So that's clearly, I'll go with the food analogies all day.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I think that's really interesting. And let me ask you this. I find, so I'm going to say back in the day now. I'm going to date
Yeah, yeah.
myself here, right? But back in the day, I feel like when I was younger, myself and my friends and society, you would get a record, right?
Yep.
Of a band, and you would listen to that full record. And I
Yep.
feel like now with the way that music is consumed, it's less about full albums and now more about music. I mean, even if you listen to like any of the apps, right? You're getting like, let's say you want to listen to Dave Matthews, right? You'll get an app that's Dave Matthews types of music, not all necessarily Dave
Right.
Matthews.
Right.
And I sort of feel like I don't want to call it lazy listening, but I almost feel like I've become almost lazy, or bored, because I'll listen to something, a band that I love, right? And unless I'm going to a concert, I can't really. I want to, after I hear two to three songs of that band, even though I might love them, I kind of want to move on to something else. Do you find that too with your with your listeners? I can't listen to a whole. I love Dave Matthews. I like Korn.
Yeah.
I like a lot of heavier music. I don't want to listen to more than two or three songs before I move on to something else. Is that normal? I mean, are people doing that more, or are people listening to the full albums these days? I don't know.
No, I mean, I would say the younger generation, from what I've talked to my daughter, and so I base my answer on things that she's told me. You're right. They're younger people are not listening to entire albums anymore unless they're super fans. If my daughter is a huge fan of 21 Pilots. That's her. It's like she worships them, so she will listen to their entire album. But you're right. Other songs, they're not listening to the other songs. They're not. I mean, sorry, they're not listening to full albums. They're listening to just the one or two songs that they like. They're moving on, and that was a trend that we talked about. That I talked about with a record guy 15, 14 years ago, and he's like, Kerry, there's no album. That's when music really started to become more fluid and digital and not hard copy CDs. He's like, it's not about the albums anymore. It's about the single. So you're right. It loses the way the industry is evolving. It has lost a little bit of character. I mean, I remember going and, buying, and I didn't have records, at my age, but I did have cassette tapes and I did have CDs. And one of the coolest things, was, I got a bunch of, old CDs here, but it was like, you take a CD, you open it up, and you read along with the lyrics, or you open up to get some awesome pictures from the band.
Right.
And there's none of that anymore. There's no I mean, even the cassette tapes, I would open the cassette tapes and they would just open up like this long sleeve of lyrics. And that's what I love the most, when all the lyrics were included. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have to try to figure it out. I could read along and learn. But yeah, that's lost. That's something that's lost right now, and hopefully it'll make a comeback in some way, shape, or form. But that the tangible holding your favorite album and holding your favorite artist, that's a thing of the past at the moment.
The record stores, right? I used to love going to the record stores when I was younger.
Yeah.
That used to be like a day.
Yeah, me too.
My friends and I would go to we had, I don't know, was Strawberries? Wasn't Strawberries
Strawberries,
Record
FYE,
Town?
yeah, Record Town. There was Cutler's down in New Haven. Oh my God, Strawberries! Jesus Christ! I used to love Strawberries.
Me too. I love that, and it was literally an ad. Like you get together with your friends and you would go to the record store and you'd spend time, and then I remember when they implemented you could actually listen to some of the music at the record store. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was like a whole new
absolutely.
innovative thing. It's kind of disgusting when you think about it, putting your ears where other people's ears were. But it was let me ask you this. So going back to the whole music, and I want to talk to you a little bit about your musical tastes.
Yeah.
As a radio personality, generally, and I'll ask you specifically about yourself and just in general. Do the radio personalities typically work at stations where they enjoy the music, or do you not have to really enjoy the music to do the job? In other words, could I be a classical orchestra fan but work at a heavy metal station? I know I could. I'm saying, but in other words, like for example, you're at the River.
Yes,
the River.
right.
Do you might like that music, but do you have to like that music, do you think, to really thrive in the job, or can it be kind of
Yeah, right.
just doing
In
the
my
job?
opinion, right. In my opinion, you should work at a station where you like the music. Um, yes, you're right. You don't have to, but after a while, people can tell when you're faking it. People are intuitive. They can tell who the authentic on-air personalities are when it comes to the music. I mean, and who the I don't want to say fakers, but the people who aren't into the music.
Right.
The river music is stuff that I am into. I can put the river on, during the summer and just listen to it all day while I'm in my pool, and it's like it's my kind of music. Um, I did a morning show in Providence for about a year and a half, and it was a hip hop station. Now the reason why I was put there was because they were trying to appeal to suburban, because in Providence, there's a lot of suburbs, just like Connecticut. So they were trying to appeal to suburban kids rather than city kids. They were trying to appeal to kids like I wasn't a kid then, but people like me. So they put me in that role to try to facilitate they're trying to facilitate their goal. I hate hip hop. I hate R&B. Not I would hate R&B, but I can't stand rap. I can't. It's just like it's not my thing. So while I understand the intent and the thought process, just I wasn't the right person for the job. And after a year and a half, it was you're out.
Well, they could
that
tell.
being said,
They could tell you didn't like it. You're saying, like they could. They knew you
no,
didn't
no,
like
no,
it. Or...
no. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. They could tell I didn't like it. They just could tell that it wasn't my thing. I would never say that I don't like the music. I would never say like, oh, this is But they could tell like, but it's not because the music, with all the music, with the music that you hear, it's also there's a lifestyle. So hip hop and R&B, not my lifestyle. It's never been my lifestyle. There are people it doesn't matter what color or race or gender you are. There are people that live the lifestyle that listen to hip hop. My lifestyle right now is a classic, classic soft rock like Fleetwood Mac, like Steve Miller, like the genre I'm talking about. That's my lifestyle. So it makes it easier for me to talk about the artists and talk about my lifestyle as well. Because for example, the other day I'm talking about I did a break about the schools closing down again because of COVID, and I voiced my own personal opinion. Say, hey, guys, this sucks. I know. Listen, we don't want to be home with our kids anymore either. But it's something we got to do. And again, that's just the lifestyle that I'm in right now, and that may not work on a hip hop or top 40 station. And if it does, if it did work on that station, if the content worked on that station, I may not be the right vessel to deliver that content. Does that make sense? Because I'm a 42-year-old conservative male, and I've completely outgrown the 18 or 14 to 24-year-old female, younger liberal music demographic. That's all. It's simple. It's simple identity. You know what I mean? I don't mean to get. And I'm trying to be political, but it's freaking true. You know what I mean? I don't listen to. I knew. Listen, all right. Let me give you a little quick history lesson, real quick. I was out of radio for like 8 years. When I came back, my goal was to get my show back on KC 101, and I did that. And I'm very thankful I was given a second opportunity to do my show on KC 101. The last few months, I knew I was on borrowed time. Again, I was doing everything right. I was doing a good show, but I would listen to other honor personalities who are doing the same format. I sounded old. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I was doing. It just, you could just tell. And I think that's part of the reason why they moved me over to the river, because I believe that they liked my content and they liked my show prep and they like what I'm doing. They just feel I would be a better fit on the river at this point in my life and my career.
That makes sense. And again, we're talking with Kerry Collins, radio host personality here in Hartford, Connecticut, and the Eye on Life podcast. Follow, share, like mustny.com. That's our sponsor. And Kerry, you brought up a really good point because you talk about lifestyle, and I guess you're talking about it. It sounds like you're talking about it from your personal experience as doing this professionally. For the listener, right? For the consumer of music, right? We're consuming music. I'm going to use myself as an example.
Yep.
How much does lifestyle play a role in the music that we enjoy and the music that we consume? Because I'll use myself as an example. I've gotten to a point now in my life where I pretty much like almost everything. I don't. There's certain music I like more than others. I'm not, I don't live the hip hop culture, but I like some hip hop. I've always loved heavy metal, but I've never been a stoner. It's a stereotype, but it's associated with. I've started to enjoy country more, but I didn't grow up in the country.
Right.
So I guess my question to you is, how do we being humans, right? How do we choose the music that we listen to, that we enjoy? Is it and how much does lifestyle kind of play into that? Suburban, urban, rural? Because I find that I'll listen to anything, and so I don't know, and maybe that's not common. Maybe hip hop maybe is more of an urban kind of lifestyle thing, but I love some hip hop. I love some rap.
Yeah, I can only speak to. I mean, I don't know about. I can only speak to my experience, and in my experience growing up in the suburbs, in a middle-class family, me, I shouldn't say me, but a lot of my white friends love hip hop, and it just was never for me. But the culture. But I was more of a rock and roll guy. But for me, I think that culture definitely plays a part of it, but not entirely. You can have people who grow up in a certain environment, with all these factors influencing their lives, and they listen to music that it's different than what you would expect. You know what I mean? But I think that culture and where you grow up and the type of lifestyle you live and the parents you have and everything, that all plays a part into what kind of music that you enjoy. It's not always what you would think someone likes. Or I'm saying, most of the time, everyone likes the type of music you would expect them to like. But every once in a while, there are artists and there are people who like things that are outside of what other people would consider the norm. But yeah, no, lifestyle, and it definitely plays a part, but it's not the be all end all.
Okay, big question for you here.
Hold on.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you sure? Okay, because this is a big one.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it acceptable for an adult, people like us? I'm saying I'm not saying we act like adults. I'm saying we are adults, right? But we
right.
Is it acceptable to wear the shirt of a band that you like at this point? And I like just out casually. Let's say you're going to do some errands.
Yeah.
And it was interesting
Absolutely.
because it is okay. Because I was watching. Have you watched any of the Cobra Kai on Netflix?
I love that show.
It's great, right?
Love that show. Yeah.
So I was watching. I'm a little behind, but I'm on season 2. And for those of you not familiar with Cobra Kai, it's like a remake of the Karate Kid. They're all grown up now, right? And Johnny.
And I highly recommend that you watch it. It's phenomenal.
It is. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Correct. It is. Yeah. Above all else, it's a fun show.
It's a lot of fun. But Johnny, who was the villain in the original, right? The one who took out Daniel, right? With the cheap shot and everything. He was at Home Depot, and he was wearing a Metallica shirt.
Right.
And I thought that it looked cool. Maybe this guy can pull it off. He's got the blonde hair. He's a good looking guy. But I'm wondering, like, if you and I were to walk into Home Depot here in Hartford, West Hartford, whatever, and I was wearing a Black Keys shirt or a Korn shirt or Nirvana, whatever, just some kind of classical, whatever, not classical music, but classic kind of shirt, right? Would we be shunned? Would that be like, dude, get a life? Or would it be like, that's okay, it actually kind of looks cool on you?
Yeah, no, I think that it's changed. I think it's more normal now than it's been. I mean, maybe 20, 30 years ago, you see a 40 or 50-year-old guy walking into a store with a classic T-shirt on from the 70s or 60s. You might, I don't know, I don't remember, but I'm thinking, I think it is more acceptable now. I see a lot of people my age, your age, adults like us. We're still wearing our favorite shirts. We're still wearing our favorite movie T-shirts or band T-shirts. I think that's part of how we grew up. I mean, when I grew up in the 80s, and the 90s, I had all my favorite shirts, all my favorite bands and movies, and that's just continuing in my adult life. And I just don't think that's the way it was in the 70s and 80s for adults back then. But kids that are now adults now, it's just the way we grew up. So absolutely, it's more acceptable. I'm not going to wear a Pearl Jam or a Nirvana shirt to a boardroom, or if I walked into a professional setting. I mean, I guess, yes, there are some people who can still walk into a boardroom and still pull it off, but that's not me. But right. But yeah, no, it's absolutely acceptable. Absolutely. Brian, people, and again, I think that goes to youth. People are living longer. People are staying younger longer. I'm 42 years old. I feel 30. I really do. I remember when looking at my father when he was 42 and thinking he looks so old, and I know I'm old, but I don't feel old. And I look around, I look at people, I see people who are in their 50s and 60s. They look 40 and 50,
exactly.
So people are staying younger. And I think that it's pretty common knowledge. I should say, people are staying younger, and I think your question about wearing the T-shirts and the clothes, that still represents the youth. I think that's reflected.
Would you wear a Nickelback shirt?
Don't get crazy.
I've actually had some people that have said, because I've had this conversation with, again, the Eye on Life podcast. This is the kind of conversation you would have over a beer, and that's kind of the point here. And I've actually had some people say that I should walk around, West Hartford Center or something like that with a Nickelback shirt, which I would do. If somebody wants to sponsor the Nickelback shirt, I will be happy to wear that. I'll buy my own if I have to, but it could be a good social experiment in the spring. I want to start to wrap up here, but I do want to ask you kind of a final question, which is never really the final question, but one of the things that has been painful to me is the lack of live music. And I know it's about perspective. Listen, I understand. My parents both recovered. My parents both just had COVID. They recovered, and then they're in their 70s. So it was certainly a worrisome time. So I understand when you talk about people's lives and health, that's a lot more important than live music. So let me just say that first. But I love live music. My summers are all about live music. And it was really hard last summer to not have any musical venues to attend. I had some shows that I was really looking forward to seeing. Mm-hmm. So my final question for you on part 2 of our show, Kerry, is, how much more important now during COVID is music? I'm finding myself to really start to focus on a lot of the simpler things in life, which is a positive that COVID has given me. Just to give you an anecdote, I've never really been a big candle person. You walk into people's houses and they have the scented candles, and I enjoy candles, but I've never really been one. I had some leftover candles the other night. I put them on. I had a glass of bourbon, and I was doing some work, and it was heaven. I was loving life. So I'm now into the candles. Scented candles, I'm loving it. I think I'm addicted to the candles. They're amazing. Just the tone that they set. It's just nice. It smells nice. So a lot of the simpler things in life now, I think, are becoming more important to me because of you can't go out as much and all that. So my question, music is always been a big part of my life, and I feel like I appreciate it more now than I ever have before because I'm not going out as much and there's no live music. How is COVID impacting musical culture? The way we talked about, the way people consume it, the way people enjoy it, the way people may or may not take it for granted. What are you seeing as far as trends go with COVID and music?
Music and artists are adapting. While there may not be the ability to have live shows now, with live, well, I should say, with live audiences, the artists are adapting. There's been virtual shows. Perfect example, Bon Jovi is doing a live performance on their Facebook Live coming up in a few days. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. It just happened. It just happened. I don't know where I thought that. They just did a live performance on their Facebook Live. And it was their only performance of the year because they had a whole tour scheduled for 2020. But that got, that went down the tubes when everything happened. So I think artists are adjusting. They're doing the virtual shows like Bon Jovi just did. They're doing like the iHeartRadio Music Festival that we put on and iHeartRadio Jingle Ball. It's all virtual. So fans are still able to, get the music and still able to enjoy the music. That being said, there is still something that it's just not the same as being there live. There's not the same as, enjoying the music with other people around you. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna shift over to another topic. Not topic. I'm shift over to something else, but you're gonna see how I tie it in. I like pro wrestling. Always been a pro wrestling fan. Grew up watching Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah.
Step into a Slim Jim. Wait.
Oh yeah.
Wait, so you're talking WWE? Like WWE?
WWE. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. So since COVID hit, the shows are not the same. They're doing shows in empty arenas, and they've started to implement fan walls and have virtual fans. But the energy of the crowd is not there, and that's what I feel is also applying to music. You're getting the product, but because there's no one in the audience listening, there's no one there, there's no one around you to experience it. You're missing something. I watched wrestling and I'm just like, not the same, man. There's not the same when that wrestler, is on the mic and he's cutting a promo and he says something that he insults his opponent and it just cuts him down and the crowd goes, oh, that's right. There's nothing like that. At the end of a song, at the end of a virtual concert, the artist wraps up the song. There's no applause. There's no cheering. So again, the artists are evolving. They're doing the best they can, but live audiences, there's an energy with live audiences that's just missing right now that can never be duplicated. Even with football, they pump in the sounds of a crowd. Still not the same. Not the same.
The nice thing about being a Giants fan is that there's nothing to cheer about anyway. So
right. It's like nothing's different.
It's gotten a little bit better. It's gotten a little bit better lately, but yeah, it is interesting. And I actually, because I had Ben Darnell on a few weeks back, and we were talking about just the whole idea. I don't even enjoy the sports on TV as much. I just like this. I like to see the crowd. I like to see the crowd. There's an energy. You're right. Even if you're not there, even on TV, it doesn't have the same appeal.
Right. I see these football players, like they score a touchdown now and they're dancing in front of a wall where they can watch themselves. I'm like, you're a bunch of morons. You know what I mean? It's like, it's better. It's more realistic and authentic when they score a touchdown and jump into like the Lambeau Leap. They jump into the crowd or they're placating and doing a dance for the people, not for themselves.
You can't jump into plastic people. That hurts.
Although that would be funny. That actually would be funny, seeing them jump into a bunch of plastic people.
I actually did see that in one of the games this past week. I saw there was a guy who did jump. I think he jumped into like 2 or 3 people. It was funny. There were like 2 or 3 people in one section.
Oh, yeah.
He jumped in. Kerry, you've been awesome. And I really appreciate you taking 2 parts to do this. Before
My
we wrap
pleasure.
up,
Thank you, Brian.
no, you were awesome. And just before we wrap up, a couple things. First off, you don't have to live in Hartford to hear Kerry. So if people do want to hear you, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm on the iHeart Radio app. What you're gonna want to do is if you like music like Fleetwood Mac, like Stone Temple Pilots, like some old school Guns N' Roses, the River 105.9 in Hartford. The call letters are WHCN. You can listen anywhere with the iHeart Radio app. Just type in the River 105.9, Hartford, Connecticut, and then you can listen to me there. You can follow me on Instagram at Radio Kerry Collins. On Twitter, I'm Kerry Collins _CT, and I'm on Facebook too. So those are where you can follow me on social. But again, the iHeartRadio app really is it's a great app. Has so many options, and with the iHeartRadio app, you can get the stations that don't play any DJs like myself, like the 80s station or the 90s station. It's kind of similar to satellite radio, but iHeartRadio also offers local programming as well if you prefer.
Well, listen, follow, like Kerry, as well as the Eye on Life podcast. Thanks so much, Kerry, again. Next week, I'm excited. I'm not going to announce the name yet, but we are going to have a guest who is participating in Miss Connecticut. And
wow.
and we're going to talk a little bit about the culture of the beauty pageants, and there's some great things about it, and there's some craziness, and there's some perceptions that people have about the whole idea of the beauty pageant. So we'll be announcing this guest shortly on social media. Really looking forward to having this person on. She'll add some great insight. And
you have my phone number, right, Brian? Can you slip that to her, please? I don't even need to know who it is. You said Miss Connecticut. I'm good.
What I might do on that one is I might just have her on the screen, and I'll just go to the black screen, so people don't have to necessarily look at me.
Yeah, good idea.
That might not be a bad idea. Then the listenership will go right up. But
right.
So we have that, and then a lot of great future shows coming up as well. We're going to be starting also to focus on some business topics and business and life, though. Entrepreneurs and how the whole idea of starting a business, how it impacts not just your business, but also your life on the side, because we're the Eye on Life podcast. So we're going to be talking about that, as well as several other topics, conspiracy theories. We'll be talking about that. I want to also do a show on teachers and the life that teachers are leading right now, because it's a little unique. I want to give a special shout out to teachers. If you know a teacher who would be a good guest, I want to talk about virtual learning. I want to talk about the interaction with the kids, how that's changed people's lives. So great content coming up, and always want your ideas. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Brian at eyeonlifepodcast.com. In the meantime, Kerry, you were awesome. Thank you so much. You've been a great friend and a great partner for a few years now. So I would love to have you back on again down the road here.
Hey, thank you, Brian, for having me. Whenever you want. Whenever you want, my friend.
Thank you, Must and Why. And thanks to everyone for listening to the show. And as always, keeping an eye on life. Thanks.